Hi, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me as usual. I've got, so here's the thing. I typically will go back and I'll rewatch my live streams just to critique myself, I guess, whatever. But I I don't like the way I sound. And keep in mind that this house is it's new construction. This is the only part of the house that's 99% complete. And but there's like all my stuff is in here, so it's kind of a bigger empty space. And the house itself is massive, massive. There's like 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, like it's massive, right? So I've got my microphone lifted up today. And I bought this microphone a few months ago, but it's the exact same microphone that Sunny uses. So it has to be good quality. So I want to know, like, if I put it over here, if my sound still sounds okay. Because I know when it's a little bit lower, I don't like the way I sound. I feel like I'm in a tunnel. So as long as you guys can tell me, like, if I'm, hi, Sunny, copycat, you know it was a fluke. You know it was a fluke. I went on and I picked the cheapest one I could find because I thought for sure that's what Sunny was using. I'm just kidding. Patriot, I have seen some of them. And just to get started, my thumbnail was not clickbait. Okay, it was not. I stated clearly in that thumbnail and then the description, prove me wrong. Okay, so when you have a debate, okay, maybe not like a real debate, whatever, but in criminal justice, when I was in college, it echoes. It's just got to be the room, right? Because it's a big room and there's not a lot of shit in it. So, yeah, Patriot Girl, I know what you're talking about. I've seen some, but whatever. Anyways, where was I? In college, you have I took a debate class, and in that debate class, the the instructor, it was kind of a mean thing to do. We were all excited to hold our first debate, and when it come time, and we did all of our research and everything, and it was great. We were ready to go, and then at the beginning of the class, before the debate started, we were in our teams, and then the instructor said, okay, now you have to argue the opposite of what you believe. Like, you have to take your beliefs and you have to debate against your beliefs, and made us basically swap sides. And it was a really interesting, and I still remember it clearly. It was extraordinarily difficult. But having said that, I don't think this is going to be as difficult. I know she is. I don't even know who that person is in here. So whatever. So I'm gonna do roll call real quick. I'm not gonna start conversations yet because I want to do this debate, and I only have like 4 hours today, Sunny, so I don't even know if I'm going to get it all done today, but I'm just kidding. Everyone that's usually here is here. Hi, Liz, congratulations. Oh, did I get to 1,000? Ooh. And Maxie, hi. Sarah and Randy, I feel like the Brady Bunch, or what was that show back in the day? Marie Antoinette, hi. Like, that's not my gig. Like, I'm super excited, and I feel like it didn't take me that long to get to 1,000. Wow. But anyway. Without multitasking. Well, in a way, this stream, like, you guys like the fact that I go through chat and it's interactive and stuff, but this one is going to be the most interactive because I want to have an actual debate with you guys. I really do. Hi, house music. That's pretty cool. And Lacey, Christine, Tay Christine again, Diane, Carla, Patriot Girl, Donna, Mike, and Jules. And then by the time I get to here, I kind of forget if I've already said hi. Hi, Cindy, Clark, Rhonda, and Cheryl Light. 29, Lynn Mack. Can I just call you Lynn from Pictou County? Allison, Lee Starchild, and Pam Taylor, and Lindsay, Mama Angie. Good to see you here. Cheryl Ann, Mama G, Rhonda, I think I said hi. See, I forget if I say your name twice, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. It just means I have menopause brain. Tammy, I don't even know this person. Hi, April, JB, Nurse, Chancey, thank you for being here. And Blue Heron. Like some of these names, like I haven't seen you, and I don't want to disappoint anybody, but this is an exercise in opening our minds. That's literally what I'm doing here today. Trudeau's, thanks for coming. Kitty, April D, and Scotia Lee, Steph, I'm hearing a truck. Christine, hi. Betty Knight, thanks for being here, everybody. Tammy. I feel like, hey, Roots, I feel like this takes a long time, and I'm sorry if people don't like it, but hi, Bobby Joe and Kimmer, Ellie, Diane EA. Did I think I said hi to you. Unsure. Lise, Ginger Girl's mom, Marianne, Christy D. Hi. I said hi to you already, Sarah. Tina, Katrina. Finding solace. No updates yet. Correct. So, like I was in. Oh, hi, Johnny. Hi, Marianne. I think I just said your name. Anyway, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, we're going to have a debate. And I'm going to. Hi, Seawood. Just looking. Hi, Carly. Hi, everybody. No, just looking. They didn't. Is Daniel innocent? Oh, come on. Okay, guys. If there was evidence that came out that said Daniel was completely innocent, I don't think I would be the first one to break that to you. I don't. So this is about, and in the description, I clearly said, prove me wrong, let's debate. And like I explained very, very, very beginning, when I was in college and we had debate class, our instructor made us, at the last minute, switch sides and debate opposite of what our beliefs were, which was very challenging. And did it blow your mind? Did it really blow your mind? Are you talking about the messages? It didn't blow my mind. I don't think there's much Daniel could do these days that would blow my mind, to be honest with you. Patriot Girl, Daniel is guilty. You're going to come up with a better argument than that, Patriot Girl. So basically, has anybody watched a debate before? Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't mean like we're going to sit here and argue, what we think. We're going to respectfully argue, I guess, or debate what we believe based on the facts that we know. And the facts that we know aren't necessarily facts of the case, if that makes sense. We know the facts The facts that we know are based mostly on information that we can't prove or even solidify in any kind of a congruent timeline. So I think that this is going to be, I don't want to use the word fun, but it's going to be challenging, and I think it's going to be an exercise in opening our minds. I'm hoping, and it might go completely off the rails, but I'm going to tell you the case as we know it, and then I'm going to start with the comments, and we will start with comments. So if you've already written something, never mind, wait until I finish, and then at that point we will start with comments. Okay, fair? Just because I don't want to go back, because then I'll get stuck saying hi to people again. Shenanigans. Thanks for being here. Okay, so on May 2nd, 2025, Jack and Lily Sullivan went missing. Now, the facts of the case are the facts as we know them. Doesn't mean it's based in evidence. But at 6:17, Malehya Brooks Murray woke up and used her app to mark Jack and Lily Sullivan absent from school. She then went back to bed with her baby Meadow and had the TV on for Jack and Lily, and basically was dozing in and out of sleep with Meadow. Daniel Martel, her partner and the kid's stepfather, who they referred to as Daddy, was sleeping the entire time. However, stepdad said at one point that he was not in a deep sleep by any means. Daniel also stated that throughout the morning, Lily popped her head in and out of the room numerous times. No words were spoken, no words were exchanged. Both parents recall hearing both Jack and Lily playing in the room beside them, and they recall hearing Jack rustle around in the kitchen. So at some point after 8:48 a.m., Daniel's mother, Janie, the kid's step-grandmother, heard the kids playing on the swing set outside of her RV that was on the same property. And like I said, that was sometime after 8:48. By 9:30, we'll say, Janie, step-grandma, heard her son outside calling for the kids. Rewinding a little bit, both Daniel and Malehya said that Malehya woke up and heard silence. How do you hear silence? But woke up and did not hear the kids. She then woke Daniel up and asked him if he could hear the kids. Daniel did not hear the kids, so they got up, they looked around the house, went outside. Daniel was calling and yelling for the kids, woke step-grandma up. She came outside. By the time she got outside, her son Daniel was not there, but Malehya was out in the driveway with the baby on her hip, looking at her phone, and Janie asked her, "What's up?" And Malehya responded, "The kids are missing." And Janie said, "How long?" And Malehya said, "About 20 minutes. Somewhere in there, it was stated by Malehya, I believe to Daniel, that they must have gone into the woods. and that prompted Daniel to run into the woods to look for them. By 10:01, Malehya was on the phone with 911 to report the kids missing. The RCMP arrived on site at 10:26 a.m. and that, to me, is the facts that we know surrounding the actual disappearance. So, my own argument for, number one, Daniel's innocent, is the points that I would make for my argument would be Daniel has been consistently searching and keeping awareness up about the kids' disappearance. He has been cooperating with the RCMP. He has been working closely with the RCMP, sharing evidence with them, and leaking information to the public to keep the conversation going. That is my argument for Daniel's innocence. And he passed a polygraph test that consisted of 4 questions. So that is my evidence that I base the first argument on, that Daniel is innocent. Now, go. Okay, we'll start with Rhonda. Malehya setting her alarm the night before to report the kids sick means she never intended to send them to school on Friday. Why? So she could sleep in, or something more nefarious, just another absence? Okay, let's not start with Rhonda, because we're talking about argument 1, that Daniel is innocent based on the evidence that I presented to you. Nothing? Something. Like, if this goes sideways and it's totally stupid, we can just go through comments, but we'll see. Oh, good. Steph, here we go. He said Lily's last words were, "Hi, Daddy," but then she never said anything. But, okay. Is it normal for kids to go into a room with a sleeping parent and say, "Hi, Daddy," and not get a response? Or was it, "Hey, Daddy," looking for something, needing something? Again, that's not really arguing for or against my point. Carol is on my team. Daniel also answers questions for the public. Guilty people always involve themselves and stay close to investigators and want the limelight. Innocent people also would stay in the, not so much in the limelight, but they would stay in the public to keep the case conversation going. Repeat the evidence. The evidence is based on basically the storyline in the documents about that morning, about what they heard. Lily popping her head in and out. But my evidence for innocence is simply the fact that he is cooperating with the RCMP. He passed his polygraph test, and he is actively trying to keep awareness and keep the case alive, even if only in YouTube chat rooms and Facebook chat rooms and TikTok or wherever Susan is, whatever. It's still keeping awareness and keeping the conversation going. That is what I'm basing my argument on. That is what we know to be fact based on the information that we have. Daniel did nothing wrong. He searched immediately. Root Strength is also on Team Charmaine today. Everything Daniel cooperated with is everything they would have gotten away. Hi, Chip. I don't understand you. Some guilty persons cooperate with law enforcement to make it look good. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer kind of energy. See, this is really difficult because I don't disagree with any of you. So this is really difficult. So are you saying, Blue Heron, that it's possible Daniel is guilty and by cooperating, he's trying to keep the investigators close to outsmart them in some way? Is that kind of what your argument is? We're not at Malehya yet, Rhonda. Daniel said he saw Lily, so he must have known what she had on. Is it inappropriate to include some of the discrepancies and inconsistencies and just weird shit that's happened? Because it doesn't support my evidence. So it is possible that Daniel, in a panicked state for the first 3 to 4 days minimum, had some memories confused, mixed in with other memories of other mornings, forgot certain details. And then as he remembered, he started bringing out the story in different ways that made it seem like they were inconsistent. But in reality, perhaps he was remembering things differently. Is that a thing? I would say yes, he's been out there, but I think it's for himself, not the kids. I said, this is really challenging for me. I should have done this differently. Made you guys argue the opposite because I'm having a hard time here. I would say yes, he has been out there, but I think it's for himself, not the kids. What would an argument against that be? By being out there for himself, he's still raising awareness for the kids, and it's possible that he doesn't have the social skills to understand the perception of the public to what he is doing. That's pretty good. 2 different statements. Can you elaborate on that, please, Steph? The polygraph test is not admissible in court. The polygraph only as good as the examiner in questions. Was he drug tested? It all plays into the test. From what we know, according to Daniel, and by this, I think it said in the documents, the examiner was brought in by the RCMP, and those examiners would be certified and likely deemed competent to perform the testing, and any drug tests or procedures prior to the test being administered would have had to have been followed. Polygraph tests are a tool in an investigation, and they are not, the results are not admissible in a court of law. However, the RCMP will use those results to try and steer the investigation. My dog is about to freak out. You know, I gotta say, for living out in the boonies, this place is like Grand Central Station some days. 2 visitors already today. So anyways, I addressed that, and I think I did pretty good. Hi, Diamond. Kim, hi. I understand that some people that come in late, they don't understand what we're doing here. So I'm not ignoring your comment, Kim. I'm trying to stay focused today. Who lied about when Malehya was at the end of the driveway at 6:10? So here's where, like, I'm pausing the debate and I'm telling you my real feelings on that. I believe that information came from Durwood, but I don't think that Durwood made it up or lied about it. I think that Durwood was truthful when he said that was the information he was given. Does that make that true? No, but I believe that somebody gave him that information, and I believe he's the one that said it. So unpause, back to it. Ooh, posing a question. How often does an offender put themselves in the middle to deflect? Quite often. I mean, I can't do nothing but answer that one. That's not for or against. If Malehya wasn't awake, how would she know if the kids were suitable to go to school or not that morning? I hope you remember that and bring it up when I talk about Malehya. Daniel may talk a lot, but it has shown to be very inconsistent. He has a drug history. I'm not monetized. You don't have to. He has a drug history. He claims to have heard Jack rustling. How can a man in and out of sleep be sure? Perhaps it was common. Maybe it's something that he's heard and or seen before. Trailers are not, they don't have very thick walls, so maybe, and I mean, if you live in a place long enough, you kind of know where noises are coming from, and you get to know routines. And from what I understand, maybe pause debate button right now, but from what I understand, those kids seem to have had to fend for themselves. So it's probably not unusual for Jack to be rummaging in the kitchen for food or juice or water or whatever. So unpause. But he says now she never said anything. Right. And I think the very beginning, he didn't say that she said anything. How do you defend the inconsistent instance of inconsistency in all of his comments on social media. In my opinion, this makes him suspicious. How would one defend that? I think I kind of hit, I think I kind of did. What if, or possibly, not what if, but possibly the panic and fear of that morning made his memory not clear when he was first speaking, and he's done a lot of speaking. And so as his memory kind of becomes clearer and the dust of the panic of the day starts to settle, his story is changing, details are changing because his memory is becoming more fluid. That wasn't very good. I apologize. Doing my best. This is difficult. Did she poke her head in or was the door locked? I've never heard either way. Daniel was the only one to see Lily. Didn't we hear more recently that Malehya also saw Lily that morning? And if Lily was sick, Malehya may have predetermined Friday off. Yep. Daniel is the one who does everything for the kids. Kelly is on Team Charmaine today. Daniel doesn't seem to have a motive for harming the children. How about that for a point of debate? Can I get some? Susan showed are damning. Damning against whom? Often the guilty party will be the most vocal involved in the investigation. That is true that a lot of times suspects will insert themselves into an investigation, and that typically is so that they feel like they have firsthand information about whether or not they're getting away with whatever they've done. Daniel can attempt to control the narrative by being outspoken. Kind of backfired, didn't it? I'm really having a hard time disputing the things you guys are saying. See if the kids were even there. Anyone sane would be asking the public for help. Daniel has, in a number of his mainstream media interviews, asked members of the public to come forward with any information regarding the kids to their local law enforcement. One second. Yeah. Grand Central. That was somebody different. He only answers questions he's comfortable with. He diverts away from ones he doesn't want to talk about. I mean, how can I argue some of this stuff? Like, it is what it is. I'm trying. Limelight statement. I agree he's wanting to know what RCMP has. Daniel also willingly offered his phone, GPS, maps, etc. without warrants needing to be issued. Cooperating with law enforcement. Do we know of, oh my God. I guess trying to back a Kenworth down the, whatever. How often do we see guilty people not only insert themselves into an investigation, but offer up all of their digital data, their DNA, their polygraph test, everything that Daniel has offered up. I don't think that happens as often as guilty parties inserting themselves into an investigation. He, uh, for example, go way back, Ed Kemper, the co-ed killer, he inserted himself in the investigation in that he would go to the same pub that he knew the police, the cops that were investigating hung out at. And he befriended them. And he would just be in there every day and just spark up conversations. And the police never suspected him, and they referred to him as a friendly nuisance, always asking questions about the case. But that was like back before they really clued into these perpetrators actually did that kind of thing. But I don't know of many who don't think their goose is cooked and give up their DNA or whatever, whatnot, that do offer up that stuff in the hopes that they won't connect anything. I don't know if that was a very good argument. Daniel says he doesn't want to impede the investigation, but the next breath says, I don't know if I can share that, but one moment. Sorry guys, there's something I have to deal with here, so I will be back soon, a few minutes. Hi guys. Kind of sort of in the middle of a trial here. So I'm just had a little bit of a hiccup for the day, so I might have to pop in and out here. But now my brain is really derailed. His whole focus on what social media is doing and saying, even the comments about AI images of him, it all bothers Daniel, and you can see he's pissed about in the interview. More proof of it's about him. Yes, but is that an argument for guilt? Well, the info would have had to come from Janie, or how would Dee know? And why was Dee lurking in the background in Jay's TV interview? I found that strange as well. But he does live there. But you'd think he'd want to stay out of, or you'd think the media would ask him to stay clear of the line of sight of the camera, if that makes sense to anyone. They say the kids were playing outside, but they didn't know that they were playing outside. So my response to that, and it's got nothing to do with, arguing the opposite of my personal beliefs, but what I have to say about that is the fact that by the time that interview happened, where they said we didn't know it at the time, they had already had a day and a half to talk to Janie and get Janie's information. So although that sounded weird at the time, when you look back and you think about the timeline, that interview was done on the Saturday. So they would have talked to Janie Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday morning. I mean, they would have known that Janie had heard them outside by that time. So that's kind of why it makes sense to me. Like, oh, we didn't know it at the time, but they should have said, we come to find out that they were heard playing outside. They should have said something like that. But true. We're having a debate here, Kim. I'm arguing the opposite of my belief. I'm trying to open my mind. It's really difficult. You guys are raising very, very good points. In my opinion, Janie wasn't really even home Friday morning, so I've tossed her story to the side in my own head. So you think she was out with Uncle Ron? Murderers Masquerading as Mourners is an interesting documentary here on YouTube. I should write that down. I'd like to watch that. Daniel was still in bed. Why was he sick, hungover, or finally just getting to bed? Not facts, but since heard that Daniel was up very late. I don't know if we can, it's a fact that we heard that Daniel was up most of the night in the bathroom doing whatever. So does that make it true? No, but it's a fact that we've heard that. I think that Daniel is an innocent bystander. He and she were trying to cover up their feeling neglectful for sleeping in. That is a nature response to that. Yeah. But you mean the very first few days? And that could play into the fear of CPS taking the kids, including Meadow. Absolutely. Good point for Team Charmaine today. Social media twisted all his words around. To be fair, it's hard to twist a screenshot around. Some of them were posted out of context, and the context was not appropriately explained. However, the words in those screenshots were his. Daniel says Jack was wrestling around in the kitchen as he was loud and clumsy, yet Daniel said nothing was out of place. Look at you. I didn't even catch that. Very good point. Daniel, I hope you're watching and you're picking up what I'm throwing down here. What choice did he have but to agree to give up phone, get interviewed, and take Polly? Zero choice. 2 little kids were missing on his watch. True, but he could have refused and waited for the warrant. But now see, I'm arguing the other side, and it's much easier because by doing that, it would definitely lower RCMP's suspicion at that time. He is fully cooperated. It's odd to me, Janie didn't phone Daniel or message him complaining the children were off school and making noise that morning. That's always sat with me a little bit wrong, because why is Janie's routine so off that day? There might be an explanation for it, but all we get is defensive, let's say it like this, defensive, poor me attitude, defending themselves instead of just explaining it. If it's true, then make it make sense. And try to see things from the perspective of people on social media. And you can't say that you don't care what people on social media think because you keep coming back to it. So you want your stories out there, you care what everybody thinks, so clear it up. Yes, Patriot, I did read that. Meadow wasn't really in the timeline, except she was sleeping. What baby at that age doesn't get changed, get a diaper change, want to get up? Marathon sleeper baby. Is it possible that she got her diaper change at 6:18 a.m. when Malehya was out marking the kids absent on her app? If Daniel was innocent of killing them but guilty of cover-up for Malehya? What would be his motivation for that at this juncture? It is so odd, in my opinion, that all 3 adults were tired till almost 10 a.m. Historically, eyewitnesses' statements change over time to fit other narratives and information that is later founded. Yeah. Eyewitness testimony, I guess, is it's useful, but you'll never see a trial rely on it. I like this pro-child abusers in chat. Joe, be nice or be gone. We're doing a thing here. Jam, hi Jam. As far as Daniel being in bed still, I think about it like this. When I'm on vacation holidays, I usually forget what day it is. Imagine not working, but 1 day a week. I'm shocked they know what day it is. And to be fair, same. Since I moved here, half the time I think it's a Friday night because I don't got to get up and go to work tomorrow. So he knew she was leaving him. There's a motive. So why not Meadow then? Why not Malehya then? What benefit to him was there in simply getting rid of Jack and Lily. There's still another child, his, I understand, but wasn't Malehya leaving a Malehya issue? Like an issue with Malehya? Why the kids? It was an accident, neglect. I think all the media he has done, official or social, has been to keep deflecting and playing mind games, plus he's loving the ladies in his inbox. I happen to know that he chats with men too, so I don't think it's just the ladies, and I don't mean that. I don't mean it like that. Get your head out of the gutter, but I think they're covering up possible neglect, and it's all coming off as covering up their disappearance. But at this point, why not just face up to it? Because the optics of it, it looks like people have done something to these children. So if that's all it is, it's not like it's not a big deal, but it's far less horrifying than the alternative. Why not just fess up? How do you explain his statements about the backpack? He first said it was used to collect things in the forest. Now he claims it was only used for trips to Cindy's. It is possible, straight face, it is possible that the backpack was purchased with the intended usage to use when Lily and Jack would go to Nana Cindy's. Because that didn't happen very often, that backpack became Lily's play backpack. I think they are covering up possible neglect, and it's all coming. I just did that one. We have spent a lot of time on analyzing May 2nd. However, there are so many holes in May 1st. Do you not think that night holds the answers? I do think that it is important to look at May 1st, and unfortunately, the information we have about May 1st out on the property come from the same sources that we are questioning so diligently now. So other than the neighbor's claim of hearing the vehicle, I don't know where else we could go with that unless we are going to analyze and entertain the stories that we're getting from the people on the property. That makes sense. I need to make a quick phone call. Just to let them know I have not heard back. 1 second. Apologize. Why did DM say he was 100% sure that they wouldn't find, nothing would be found on the property? There's only so many explanations for that statement, and it bothers me. Maybe Daniel is stuck in the belief that nothing happened to the kids on the property. And perhaps he didn't consider and my problem with all of them is they're not considering any other scenario other than somebody connected to Malehya drove up and took the kids and they're safe and sound somewhere. And that's a problem. Because then you have statements like this where he is 100% sure the cadaver dogs are not going to find anything anywhere on the 2-acre property. When Like, legitimately, in reality, there is no possible way that he could know that unless he knows where they are. Did you hear that, Daniel? Sorry, but it's true. Daniel says he turned the light on and saw the kids in bed, and then says he didn't see Jack. When did he say that? In the morning? He didn't see Jack in the morning? He only heard him in the kitchen? Because he said, came in around midnight, flicked the light on and off. They were in their beds, they had the covers up, so he wasn't aware of what they were wearing. And then he heard them playing in the room next to them, and he heard Jack rustling around in the kitchen. He did not see Jack, however, he saw Lily poke her head in and out of the time, or numerous times that morning into the bedroom. But now he's changed that to twice. It's no longer numerous times, it is now twice. Daniel had a motive to cover up, though. Daniel was protecting Meadow. From what? From Malehya getting custody? Or... So I imagine they don't have a proper sleep schedule. Not defending was kind of throwing out an idea to Randy. We don't know what's really in his brain. When someone wants to leave and you don't want them to leave, meth heads, don't have to do that here. Meth heads can do things. Did Malehya call them in sick because of Lily's black eye or because something happened the night before? I would ask you, and it looks like we're shifting over to Malehya at this point, which, whatever, this is kind of gone, it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I'm also distracted, but both could make sense in my opinion. But I would question why Daniel volunteered the information about Lily's black eye on the Wednesday. It's hard. That's what makes it so hard for me, because why does he say these things that make them look more suspicious? There are details that didn't need to come out that sound and look like something nefarious went on, if we're being honest. Right? Kids got into something like powder that was lethal, so in that instance, D is not guilty as he technically didn't kill them. It just happened, and polygraphs didn't ask, did you take the kids somewhere? It is all in the questions, the wording of the questions. If somebody is prepared enough, it could be as simple as that, the wording of the questions. Absolutely. Did Lily even have a black eye? Nobody seems to have seen it Thursday, so Malehya doesn't recall that happening. Patty certainly doesn't recall that happening. Patty doesn't even recall them being there that day. I'm working a night shift, so I'm going to have to jump in and replay it later. I don't thank you. You don't have to, Sailor. Why Malehya didn't mention getting a cup, bottle, or food for Meadow, just turn the TV on for her. Or change her diaper, or maybe take Jack out of his pull-up. Like, there's so much. There's so much. Most times I don't even try to think what happened, but who knows what happened. And all three adults make it hard to think they're not shady. Unfortunately for them, I do think that they, at least Daniel, understands that it looks shady. Because in my opinion, that's the only reason that he's still out here, trying to fill in those gaps. Daniel was probably sick of caring and watching. When did she get the black eye? I mean, according to Daniel, Wednesday, but nobody else can corroborate that. Daniel was probably sick of caring, watching kids, sick of Malehya, lazy, and kids getting on his nerves, being hyper and stuff, and they could have got in the way of his drug deal. I think he blocked you in Sunny's chat. I don't think so. I don't think Daniel blocks people. He ignores them. If he is covering for himself, Janie or Malehya, he would have come clean by now if Malehya had harmed them. He's either covering for himself or Janie. Vegan, thank you, because that was the brain fart that I had when I had to make that call. I was going to say that don't we think that if Malehya had done something and Daniel knew about it and he was protecting Malehya at the beginning, after all of this time and Malehya leaving and blocking him and then losing Meadow to CPS due to her own poor choice, even though he said Malehya did nothing wrong, like, he knows, we know, she wasn't supposed to leave her mother's house with the baby, and she did. No matter what the reason behind it is, which I've heard a couple of things that could make sense to an immature 28-year-old girl, but in reality, it was her own choices that led to CPS taking Meadow from her custody. After all of that, and all of the shit that he's going through online, do you honestly think that he would still be protecting Malehya? I don't. They still need a warrant to take his cell phone. Like I said before, when they have, if they're taking evidence for any reason, if they don't have a warrant and they happen to find something, they can't actually investigate or keep that evidence unless they have a warrant. So they have to stop what they're doing and go get a warrant. So typically speaking, they will get a warrant before they might have physically had the phone with his permission, but before they actually downloaded any data or anything, they would have, I think. Why did radio chatter on day one say the children were last seen at 8 o'clock? Oh, it's so hard to defend people. I think that the RCMP I think the communication internally with the RCMP, I think, was flawed because of the shitty service out there. I think that because what we talked about earlier, they were trying to make themselves look less neglectful. I think that they were probably given some, shady information. Maybe not, like, I'm not sure, but maybe this time, like, nothing, like, I don't think that they were told for a fact, but it could be just the police, the searchers, and the dispatch chatter that we heard going off of what they were first told, which I think we can all agree was probably not accurate. Well, Charmaine, if I have to look at you like you're Daniel, I would say the reason I think you are guilty of something is your and Malehya interview contradict each other. You should rehearse. You look. I get what you're saying. I get where you're going. Nerves? Because Malehya is using her right to remain silent, we only have Daniel's account. If he didn't harm them, maybe he was part of the cover-up crew, if one was needed. Why is he feeling better now? It's months. Time heals all wounds. Malehya is exercising her right to remain silent, but I think that's part of your um, anybody's rights, I guess, and anybody has the right to remain silent, I guess, but putting it that way makes it seem like she's a suspect or something, or she's been charged. But we don't know that she's exercising her right to remain silent to the RCMP. We don't know that. She, I, I wouldn't doubt if she is talking to the RCMP and talking a lot to the RCMP. He knows there was nothing on there, in my opinion. You don't need any of that to commit a crime, in my opinion. See, now I'm on board because we heard both from Daniel. He leaves his phone at home all the time, or he always has his phone with him. I've heard both from him. But if you're used to leaving your phone at home, or if you can establish that you've got a history of leaving your phone at home, then there would be nothing suspicious in leaving your phone at home if you're going to do something shady that you don't want to be tracked for. It would be easy to hand over what RCMP is asking for if you know there's no evidence of any wrongdoing on it. I agree. Totally going against my debate idea. Explain all the broken behavior patterns. No baths or PJs the night before, no school. Janie didn't go with brother. Janie didn't look outside to supervise the kids or send them back to trailer for clothes. The only one that I can take a stab at is the no bath or PJs the night before. We don't know that that was a pattern. We don't know that they had regular baths. We don't know that they weren't allowed, or it wasn't normal for them to sleep in the clothes that they wore that day. And I'm sorry, but the whole story about I didn't unpack the laundry yet, so they still had the same clothes on, is bullshit. Calling it out, bullshit. Because laundry was done on Wednesday and we're talking about Friday. So Jack would have had to take his pants off to put the pull-up on. Or was that 2 days old too, Malehya? Just a question. I know I've seen photos of Jack with one, but I'm not sure if I've seen Lily. But oh, black eye. Right. Well, the story is the black eye happened on Wednesday. And I don't know 100% that how good that CCTV video is. Perhaps it's really good video. I just had a thought. Perhaps it's pretty good video and you can see a black eye on Lily. And maybe Daniel thought that that would be leaked sometime to the public and he wanted to get ahead of it. And say what happened, maybe. Otherwise, why did he volunteer that information? Daniel knew he would be suspect number one. I didn't read anywhere that he offered. Documents say they seized. Right, Teresa. That is what the documents say. Half of what we're doing though is saying, okay, we're taking everything, not everything, but we're taking Daniel's account as maybe not as the truth, but fact that he said these things, right? But because you've made a good point, we have something to back up that maybe he didn't offer the stuff up because the words say he seized. They seized the items. I mean, that is an excellent point. Yep. Boo, what's wrong with you? I believe these kids went miss when him and the mother were in town and they never came home, in your opinion? And what did Janie say about that night with the kids? She claims the kids were there. The cops know what he's up to. They're playing his game. Couldn't give it away. Creepy, and you cannot make anything match when you speak. You are a continual liar. No one trusts someone who is a narcissist like you and are trying so hard to push your narrative. I should screenshot that, yes ma'am, and say, look at this person. She was attacking me. She was attacking me for no reason. He didn't take his phone that morning, nor did Janie. They didn't want their movements tracked, and that's why he happily offered his phone. And maybe happily offered up the property to be searched. Or maybe. Did I say hi, Wolf? Daniel's motive could have been hurting the kids to get back at Malehya, threatening to leave, possibly drug-fueled. I thought Dee's last interview went well for him. The one at the bench. That's when he said like he was 100% sure that the dogs weren't going to find anything. So I don't know. I don't know how well that was. No good to refuse. They getting it anyways, right? Right. 100%. It occurred on his property, so he is speaking up. And I mean, they're also his stepkids. And he is not wrong when he said he is the only one speaking up for the kids. I don't know why I keep saying that at this point, because Belinda and Chelsea, they're all speaking up for the kids. But at the time when he started saying that, Malehya and her camp were crickets and still are. He left the only thing that would trace his location at home, then offered it up. You don't need a motive if it was an accident that you can't report. Look at you making good points all day. All day or day. Ed Kemper has genius IQ level though. He's smarter than most cops. And I mean, especially back then when there was, compared to now, there's very little known about behavior patterns of these types of individuals. Daniel said Lily got black eye Wednesday at Patty, but Thursday people seen Lily and nobody mentions a black eye. So why does Daniel say black eye and nobody else reports it? Compulsive liars. Does Daniel seem smart enough to be able to cover up? Depends what we're covering. Leanne, hi. Are you from my neck of the woods? If you are, then I'm quite sure that I worked with your husband. YouTube. True crime story podcast. We're gonna get into this stuff now. Trudeau's, yeah, the stapler comment is ridiculous. If my kids were missing, the staplers will be the last thing that would stop me from putting up flyers. I'm sure he had a nail and a hammer around there. That was one of the things when people say, you know, Sonny antagonizes him and eggs him on, and I say he does the same to her. Because what exactly is the benefit of him saying that? Or getting, I can't remember, something about getting her KFC, basically making a rude joke towards her appearance. How does that help raise awareness? Or, you know, I understand the need and the desire to defend yourself, but the stapler comment wasn't even made in Sunny's chat. Or, sorry, it was made in Sunny's chat, but he had said he has 2 staplers now in a different chat. I feel like he was making light of a good question. If the kids are missing and you believe they're alive out there, why aren't you even posting pictures of them? Or the missing persons posters? Why isn't that happening? And well, I lost my stapler. Just found my stapler today. Or Janie, my friend, just, you know, brought me a bunch today. 2 months in. Really? Really? I'm caught up now. I did type why I thought Daniel was guilty, even though you did all those things, but I don't want to retype the 2 comments. I think I read them both, and I don't like you referring to me pretending I'm Daniel. I am insensitive. If you guys want me to go through those texts, I didn't save them. I've got one somewhere. But if somebody wants to send me those, we'll go over those, because I'm really distracted now because this trial thing is really pissed me off. Hi, Bree. We should have a healthy debate sometime. If I have enough time right now, I would, but I'm just listening while I cook. So this is not a healthy debate. This is much harder than I thought it would be. I should have stuck to arguing for my own side and using my own idea of the evidence that is out there, because trying to advocate for somebody who's literally shooting himself in the foot every time he opens his mouth is difficult. I think I made a couple of good points, a couple of good arguments, but it would make it so much easier to do this if he just clears some of that shit up. You know? I'm putting that up there because that's not the definition of be kind. Be kind or be gone, Joe. Lower your voice, Joe. You don't raise it to Charmaine, or you're gone, buddy. Thank you, Maureen. Ali J. Could have been anyone rummaging in the kitchen, not just Jack. Both of them were too lazy to get up and look. Ali, I understand that Daniel is now saying that somebody put Jack's navy blue coat on him that morning, and that might have been the rustling that he was hearing. But my question in response to that is, how often do you have people coming into your house, you hear rustling in the kitchen, and you don't think your children would speak a word to them? If they knew them, be excited that whoever was there. If they didn't know them, be frightened because a stranger was there. It's not like these children were woken up from their sleep and coerced outside with a gun, or, that it happens in some horrific cases in the States where kids get taken from their beds at night by strangers. It happens. But they were up. They were awake. So to me, somebody from outside of the household coming in there would have got some kind of a reaction, so that if Daniel heard Jack rustling around in the kitchen, that would have been around the same time frame that Jack would have been speaking to a stranger or an aunt or whoever. Make it make sense. They'll talk to anybody. They'll talk your ear off. They're happy-go-lucky children. Their words, not mine. I'm so far behind. She could blow the popsicle stand up and he'd lose access to all the kids. Christy? They didn't worry about whether the kids went outside, as they always had a watchful eye from Jamie. Fair. Fair. Good point. Good point. And why would they, honestly, why would they care? Like, if it was that common of occurrence that Malehya said, I would always get a phone call from Janie letting us know the kids were outside or Jack didn't have his coat or whatever, whatnot. Like, Malehya said that. So you're right. Even if they did hear that door and they did think the kids were outside, the only thing that would have been like, I don't even hear the kids outside. They're not inside. Janie hasn't called. Where are the kids? What if Malehya forgot kids outside? He wasn't home out doing criminal stuff. We went through this 3 times yesterday. It is possible. If it was a drug accident, they'd be charged. It's a bigger deal than any other accident. I mean, the death of a child, accidental or not, when it goes unreported, it's a big deal. But you're going to jail unless you're Casey Anthony. Janie changing her routine is really what gets me on that particular morning. She's a creature of habit, so that doesn't happen often, right? And I don't understand why her raking story changed, because we have no reason to not believe Belinda. And not just that same pothole story came from Durwood, and who hadn't talked to Belinda yet. So why did the pothole story change to the pool? Is there a reason for that, and where does it fit in? Because they found a boot print in one of the potholes that she was supposed to be filling in. I don't know. How do you examine Malehya not staying and searching for her children? Her behavior pointed to knowledge and removing herself from the nightmare, in your opinion. Would you be willing to compromise on that and say her behavior pointed to belief and removing herself from the nightmare? Knowledge, to me, all 3 of them having knowledge might have been possible at the beginning, but at this point, there are hard feelings. Meadow is living, she is with CPS. Daniel has to stay clean in order to see his daughter. Daniel can't see his other children. There are hard feelings, and if Malehya was part of something, or if there was any way, shape, or form that they could point a finger at Malehya, I don't think they'd be covering for her anymore. Malehya allegedly was distanced from Jack and Lily when Meadow was born, right? Yes. To me, she just didn't want them anymore. I honestly don't believe she could handle 3 kids on her own. Maybe we knew what she meant. Durwood said on the DT show in chat that the kids were in Truro. Is that what he said? I have a peace pact with Durwood. I'm not gonna. It's irrelevant. So go get them then. Go get them. He is innocent. Why is he not allowed to see his older children? It's been 5 months. At what point is his parental alienation? So, from what I understand, and this came from Daniel, his ex-wife was advised by her lawyer to keep him away from the kids until this is resolved. That is literally the end of the reasoning he was willing to provide. Thank you, Allie. I do. I feel like I might be getting addicted to you all because when I want to take a day off from doing this, something always comes to my head and I'm like, we got to do that today. Like this debate thing, I just thought it was the greatest idea ever. It would help everybody open their minds and it'd be so fun. It's not fun. It's hard and it's frustrating and it's actually pissing me off how much it's undefendable. You guys just need to clear it up. If it's so innocent and honest mistakes, then clear it up. If we look at their statements, perhaps see what doesn't match up, i.e. times. Off the top of my head, there are discrepancies. Absolutely. Maybe for another day. I hope the RCMP have handled this missing child case thoroughly from the very beginning. Negative. Alberta Robinson, hello. Are you new here? Whatever happened didn't happen without Daniel's knowledge. So after Malehya left, why not tell all? He says he stopped loving her that day. I call bullshit. He was still worried about getting her back when I talked to him. So, but as it is now, I believe him 100% about that. Me? Am I muted? Hope not. I'm not repeating everything. Establishing a solid baseline of leads, evidence, investigative steps. If they did, it gives confidence in the process. I agree, and hopefully you're right. However, all evidence to the contrary, if you think that they should have treated that as a crime scene from the get-go, or at least secured the scene and not let so many people in and out. And if the kids went missing that morning, and if we're going to jump on the blanket was planted by somebody in Malehya's camp bandwagon, and Malehya's camp didn't show up until 10:30, 11 o'clock or later, when was the blanket planted? And how could they possibly have planted a blanket RCMP presence on site? Maybe easily because it wasn't secured, but it's still. I really, 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 really want Daniel to connect those dots because I have watched that portion of the interview where he explained the blanket and it just added more layers to the discrepancies. So I'm so far behind. Hopefully there'll be an inquest or an inquiry. I mean, it does get tiring sticking up for the RCMP. And to keep my belief in them when you hear about these things and you think about these things that seem to go against what is common knowledge of police investigative procedure. Anybody that's coming in, how nice of you to be here. Thank you. I got sidetracked by a phone call, and now my thinking is just way off, and I almost feel like I'm not able to be Switzerland today, because I started off this whole debate idea with you know what, I'm going to argue Daniel's points, and I'm going to get feedback from the crowd, and we're going to explain to Daniel how this doesn't jive. You can't ask people to believe this stuff. You have to clear this stuff up. And I was going to try to do it in a way where I was on the side of Daniel, and I was going to argue for him and show him how difficult it is to make these arguments for him. And I think in a certain sense I did that, but the moment has passed and now I'm bitchy, and so we're doing this now. If you listen to the premiere with DT and Daniel, is that the interview you're talking about? The premiere? There's mention of Daniel Martel telling Daniel T that the RCMP used an undocumented type of search equipment, and is that the classified technology? Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. If they had been out there, they would have been found in the initial searches. Especially if they were being honest about the timeline, right? So if they were last heard after 8:48 a.m. and 911 was called by 10:01, and Daniel was running around the woods like a madman in between that time, and then the RCMP showed up at 10:26 and the search started, that gives maximum an hour and maybe an hour and a half for two little kids to get outside of a search area. And not even that, like Daniel went where the kids would go, where they were comfortable going when they want. Like Jack didn't even like going in the woods. They didn't like to be cold and wet. Daniel said they would have come right back in the house. So that doesn't make sense. I said that somebody said, and that somebody was Malehya, that she got up to use the washroom and Daniel was still awake. And she said, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she said in her statements that she did not know what time Daniel came to bed. If Lily was wearing a sweater, how can Daniel know what t-shirt she was wearing that morning? I don't know. Kind of a sweater. Was she old enough to grab a sweater because she was going outside to play with her backpack? And then walked up to the driveway? Did she not know she wasn't going to school? Did she get her and Jack ready for school and then go up? Was it Lily who was rustling around putting that coat on Jack? And were they going up to catch the school bus without a clue what time of day it was? Then waited long enough and figured they missed the bus. Maybe we'll walk to school. Ideas. I don't know. He's trying to do damage control and releasing some details slowly before someone else does, so he can control the narrative on that. Get out of my head. Because he's a dummy. Daniel said he went inside just before dark. Kids were in bed already. Janie said that when she went in, the kids were playing in the yard. One moment. I do apologize. That should be the last interruption today. I just thought I'd pull this up because people are going wild. And just to quickly, I mean, the more people that see that, the more it's going to be spread around. And I feel like AB did a stellar thing today by putting that video up and calling the person out and saying it for exactly what it is. It's a really good thing, but I think if we give it airtime, if we talk about it, unless it's brought to our attention, then I think it's giving it more attention than it deserves. I think that's just my opinion. And I know people may not know what we're talking about, but it's not, it's not, it's not a conversation that I want to have here unless I absolutely have to. Layla, we don't block here. I don't censor people here as long as you're respectful and as long as you're not starting shit, right? The content is out there if you want to see it. I'm catching up. Yes, ma'am, stop it. It is so far removed from anything to do with finding Jack and Lily that is disgusting that it even came up. But I think AB did the right thing today. And I'm skipping everybody's comments, and that's not like me. So if you're new here, this is not how I usually roll. Today has just been a really off day. But people, this is recent media. So this is Jack and Lily's group. So just let me know if this is, yeah, it must be because I don't, is that the last one, guys? All right. Oh, I see. Okay, I also got a message today about this Justin Smith, and I can, maybe have a little bit of clarity. So I don't know what order these messages are in, guys. So her being silent in her perspective stops from incriminating herself. I pointed that out months ago. That's a good thing if you're guilty, right? I'm not saying she is, but door swings both ways. Just watch it doesn't swing back and hit you. Who is Justin Smith? And Daniel said a neighbor. And in a few moments after we go through this, I'm going to tell you what I know about Justin Smith. And I don't, like, these are not in order. This might not even be all of them, guys. So why park at the neighbors? Obviously, in your neck of the woods, this would be very obvious to anyone. Oh, dogs. I'm not sure if dogs were there. Strange vehicle parked randomly around a sparsely populated area is very obvious. No, they stopped and checked relations to kids or me. What? Do you know what update police are giving next week or why they are waiting until next week? Dan was right. Sorry to sound narcissistic, but yeah, I've been releasing info from the start. He has. He's not lying. It's true. True story. I think 2 updates. Why wait a week to say they found nothing? They're giving 2 updates. One update as normal tip amount and stuff like and stuff keeps less informed, up to date. And one for dogs, probably release amount of area covered, general areas. Thanks, Amy. Thank Amy Henson for helping out with the dogs. Surface level. Everything is approved. My lead investigator, like the docs, he blacks it out. You approve everything, or lead investigator, you mean approved everything. As time progressed, Susan, I freely speak, 5 months is a long time. As time progresses, I freely speak, okay. Lead investigator does. I've met him a couple of times. Very nice guy. Those docs are not even 1% of overall. I would fucking hope not. West Coast, Leanne, or Alberta? So you have approved what will be released next week with redacted info? Is that what you mean? No, not me. Lead investigator does that. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. I get told days in advance, sometimes of release date. Do you know which date they are doing the update? It's nice to have that grace period of a couple of days to prepare for attacks. So it's 1% in the docs. What else is there that you can talk about? The docs is 1% of overall case. I did 10 hours of interrogation. That's a lot of words. I never shut up sometimes. LOL. Oh, we know. We know, Daniel. No offense. I'm bitchy today. By the way, did you have a lawyer while you were being interrogated? No. Every question I could answer with confidence because I did nothing. Have they ever arrested you and taken you in for questioning, or did you just voluntarily go in? I get picked up and drove there. My brother drove me once. Okay? Police picking you up and taking you in for questioning could be construed in many ways. Have you ever been told you are under arrest and read your rights? And then something is missing. Because I've seen this one. Yeah, after my polygraph exam, I stopped in at Patty's to ensure her that I passed my polygraph exam and I never murdered 2 small children. Patty told Cindy I stopped in, and I guess she was livid mad, probably still mad from when I told her off at the first search briefing. But yeah, CPS Meadow case, in it says Cindy doesn't want Daniel around Patty's house just in case I'm there. Okay, I know when you're there or not, Cindy. Wade doesn't have a license. Yeah, major crimes officers come to my place. We go in for questioning. They buy me food, coffee. Up, no. Uh, I don't know what that means, Daniel. DNA collection, fine by me, free food. Classy. April. We take smoke breaks. I vaped outside, come in, do more questions. I draw maps to hidden treasure. Not really. I draw a map of areas I searched during the time they wanted. Recall days in advance, minute by minute. That was rough to do because it's normal life. The brain sees no reason to store it, right? So simple days memory is hard. Is it? When you're searching for your missing children, is it? At some point you'd be remembering everything. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. They drive me home afterwards, like 140 or 150 on the highway. Hold on a tick. Major crimes officers come to my place, we go in for questioning. Whatever, Daniel. Talking like normal people, it was nice to feel normal for those few minutes, Susan. 110, Susan, highway speed. Thanks for correcting me, I appreciate it. That's not correcting you, Daniel. That's asking you to repeat. You just accused the lead investigator or whatever, the investigators, of driving 150 kilometers an hour in 110 zone. Looking out for the boys in blue, thank you. I think Daniel's having a mental breakdown, or that's not him at all. Why do you say that? Daniel said he could drive in for questioning, but law enforcement wanted to pick him up. Well, he said he got a ride from his brother one time. In those set of texts, Daniel says Jack was sleeping a little after midnight, but in Drunk Turkey's interview, he said they were asleep when he came in just before dark. At least he thinks they were. So if AB thinks that Daniel is using the lithium batteries to make meth, is he maybe selling, and the 5-speed was him and his brother doing deliveries only? Hopefully RCMP are not his buddies unless they messed up so bad, like Sebastian Rogers' case. He wants this to go away. He flaps his mouth and doesn't think of consequences of what he's saying in the moment. Maybe more likely getting rid of lab equipment. I agree that RCMP would interview Haley again if needed. Daniel said he thinks Haley did this is absurd and should not be entertained, all in my opinion. I agree, but why not put a fucking end to it? Just take a polygraph test and like shove it in his face. You know what I mean? Like I would. Not accusing anyone, but in the end, if what's in my head is wrong, I will punch my own self in the face. I feel like that too. Like if I'm wrong, I will I'll be hard enough on myself. Yes, Explorer, he said he didn't know what they were wearing, and Malehya's description is false. Those clothes are there. Description is false. Do they take Malehya as well? I think he struggles with grammar and punctuation. I think you've got him figured out. Has anyone else been harassed by Daniel's current girlfriend, Taylor? No comment, Chrissy, but in what way? Did you receive something today? Thank you, Explore Core. I say thank you to everybody as well. Thank you for being here. I could honestly see an RCMP would try to poke the bear and see if they could get a ride out of Daniel and see if he's a hothead. A rise? I think that if that whole conversation with Sergeant Whalen and the dog Narc is true, then that could have been exactly that, trying to get a rise. Hi, Holly. Thank you for being here. What's DM's comments about the batteries in the watch running out? Funny, I wanted to know if his watch shows steps and can be analyzed. I think it's an old school watch, and he said he has it on his wrist every day, but he never looks at it. I'm trying not to get too far behind in chat, sorry. So if there's something we've already talked about, I'm What conversations, Chrissy? I'm just curious as to who you're referring to and how current that information is. Because I do know some things and I think it'll come out with Sunny, not me. Did you see where he said they read him his rights when they questioned him? No, we're missing a page. I have a theory involving a tragic accident and then a cover-up. Not sure if I've heard this one, but I don't read Facebook groups very much. Go ahead and share. Okay, just answer this question. I'm sure you think you have answered it, but not really. So to be clear, just a yes or no. Have you ever been told you are under arrest? Being arrested is different than being charged. You can be arrested, which only means you are not free to leave until the police say so. They can then lay charges or not. Many people are arrested but never charged. Oh, oh, the correct term is detained. I was never detained. Detained means a probe. Oh no. Detained means a probable cause was rendered, meaning a criminal offense may or may have been encountered. Oh, Daniel. I've never committed a criminal offense or even been accused of a criminal offense in nature. If a criminal offense happens during a missing persons case and it affects or harms the missing person or harms the case as a whole, it pivots to a criminal investigation case. I'm act dumb, Susan, but I'm not always dumb. If that's true, I don't know, I guess. So Daniel, just asking, so that whole thing that you just went off about probable cause, detained, and criminal blah, 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 that was all just a shot in the dark for you? Was that just off the top of your head? Just asking. What? Where? Not here. Not here. There's none of that here. Okay, let me ask you two questions. What was Lily doing the very last time you physically saw her, and when was that? And what was Jack doing the very last time you physically saw him, and when was that? As time goes on, I look at those moments and I can almost freeze frame them because I'm layered bed so many times, playing them over on like an endless loop. She seemed excited, Susan. No Barbie t-shirt on, I can say that. Why was she excited and what did she have on? Jack was sleeping a little after midnight on May 1st. I flicked on the lights and looked in, both asleep. I never seen him May 2nd. Did Lily say anything? Not the first time, but the second time, yes. I went over these times, as I said, in my head over and over, trying to find details or clues to help. Susan, she either said hi, Dad, or hello, Dad. I remember before I thought she didn't say anything, but time passes and everything becomes clearer. Mission becomes clear, evidence builds, leads are followed up on, and time continues to tick for the individuals involved, but the batteries in watch only last so long. What? Yeah, after my polygraph exam, I stopped in at Patty's. We read this one. Oh, look, she's so adorable. So is he. What are we getting at here? I don't want to start bullshit. Do you think there's any way Malehya is seeing Jack and Lily? Do you think the RCMP are dumb enough to not have her under full surveillance? They do have her. I don't know that you would call it full surveillance, but she is being monitored. And I think that there's a very, very, very low likelihood that she has any access to her kids, whether it's visiting or talking on the phone, especially in the last number of months when speculation has been that they've got the kids hidden. So I have to trust and believe that the RCMP have that covered. I mean, they have said that even the tips that they know are false, they have to follow up on. They have to follow up on all tips. So even if we don't believe Durwood went into the RCMP station himself, dozens of people that I know tipped in Durwood's information. That alone would be cause for them to be monitoring Malehya closely. He seems very well versed in law. No, he's not. No, he's not. That what he said was not. Some of it was all right, close, but no, he's not. Yes, he was into true crime. Yes, sir. Yes. And that's why I asked, like, was that just off the top of your head? Because, half of it was wrong. But I mean, it's a good spiel and it sounds good. So if that was off the top of his head, then it's pretty impressive. This is of speculation, of course, and I have nothing to back it up specifically, but it aligns with what we know. It would have occurred either late Thursday night or early hours Friday. I'm on the edge of my seat, Johnny. Am I that far behind? I'm sorry, you guys. I don't want to miss comments, but I am. They burn wood. May evenings are cold. You need a fire to take the chill off. There was a period of bad weather at that time, which means low pressure system. This makes chimneys have less. I see where you're going. I like you. I hope you come back when I'm in a better mood. Wait for the RCMP to crack it, or someone to flip, or the custody case push something open. That's it. Everything now is just BS. Not trying to be rude. I'm just wondering why you're supporting them then by watching. Who? Leila, are you in here talking shit? Mods know the rules. Bring it to my attention and we'll decide as a group. But I don't want none of that in here. So I don't know what's going on. Malehya gave truthful statements of what the children were wearing that night before, which to me indicates the true timeline. I was asked to repeat this to you. Are you referring to her polygraph questions? This scenario would have someone lighting a fire in the main living area occupied by Jack, Lily, Malehya, and Meadow, and then retreating to another room. Closed door. Are you thinking purposely, Johnny? CO builds up and then someone discovers the horrible tragedy that quietly unfolded. But at what point would carbon monoxide travel into bedrooms and affect baby and parents as well? It hasn't been considered, and it's plausible. However, cadaver dogs were in there, and if it happened through the night and nobody noticed, then those little bodies would have had time to do the things that bodies do once the heart stops beating and leave behind something for the HRD dogs to detect. So there's a little bit of a hole, but good theory, opening our minds. It's good. I still seem to have the same theory as the beginning, can't shake it even when. Same. Maybe not the very beginning, but like June 1st-ish. Same. However, I am trying to be open-minded and more. I'm trying my best to get Daniel and Durwood and Janie, if possible, to open your minds to help us brainstorm other potential possibilities, because they didn't go in the woods, and the RCMP said no abduction, and I hate to do this again, Daniel, but abduction is abduction. Anybody that does not have a right to take the kids off the property, that's an abduction. No abduction. They did not go in the woods. Cadaver dogs didn't find anything. So where are Jack and Lily? What happened to Jack and Lily? Nothing that we're doing now is working. So I want them to, even if they can't shake their beliefs, like April and I, and probably a lot of you, I want them to at least consider other potential possibilities. Brainstorm. Throw some scenarios out there. Let's start a dialogue and stop the infighting. And I see Katie. Thank you for being here, everybody. Again, Sky Painter is the one who sent that bench across the country, coast to coast. She's a superstar. Say hi. If carbon monoxide was bad enough to build up in the children's system, I believe the adults would be made sick as well. That's kind of what, yeah. In my opinion, questioning why Layla and others, including myself, watch other channels to hear about the case and what is being said is unfair. I watch others to check myself and my theories on the regular. That's kind of what true crime is about. And I have no idea what's going on. Like if somebody took something that Layla said the wrong way or whatever, but I watch other content. I talk regularly to other content creators about this case. It's all important. And to me, the most important thing that we as creators need to be doing is listening to you all and getting all perspectives and all opinions and being respectful about it, but allowing people to speak their minds and having an open dialogue with both sides, if that's what you want to put it. It's important, and it's the only thing that makes sense to me. I'm behind in chat again. Catch up because I skip everybody and I feel like an asshole and I'm sorry. In this scenario, Malehya and Meadow would have been in a separate room, door closed. Jack and Lily remain on their own watching TV. 5 months have passed. No. Unless they did a complete overhaul, like even if carpet was removed, that scent would have soaked into the wood almost immediately, Johnny. I told you, every time you enter a room that I'm in, everybody's going to know she shipped them. Maybe our collective brains would thrive on a facts-only session chronologically. What do we know for a fact and not based on anything any family member or friend has said? I 100% agree with you. Do you know how many times I've tried to do that and it doesn't matter? You basically get stopped really early on because of all of the information being fed by Daniel and Janie. It's really hard to do. Like, if you've got something and if you want to come up on a live with me sometime, I am all in, 100%. After the RCMP have exhausted everything else is going to circle back to the parents, in my opinion. That's why it's taken 5 months. Maybe. Shenanigans. They walked to the end of the driveway to catch the bus. Someone grabbed them. It is a thorough road, well traveled. Wrong place, wrong time, a theory. And I've had that theory in the back of my mind since day one, because backpack being missing, and now Jack's coat being missing, if we believe that. Scent dogs lost a scent at the end of the road. It makes sense. Lily poking her head in and out a couple of times, maybe to see, why aren't you guys up? I'm ready to go to school. Wrong place, wrong time. It happens. He is not in the home at the time this scenario unfolds, but maybe the one who discovers it later. But again, and there's no real good answer for this, but if you walk in and find a tragic accident, is your first instinct to cover it up? Or is your first instinct to call 911? Unless it was due to your own negligence and you were afraid Malehya was going to blame you for something. I'm curious as to why there would be a pool being set up if the kids were already unalived or being passed off. I guess you have to believe that she was raking for a pool in the fucking driveway, Chrissy. No offense. Sorry about my language. Excuse me. Oh, really? Me? Oh, no, 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 no. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. Still trying to figure out why my name is blue now. Because you're a mod, and I don't blame you. This is bullshit. But I'm just kidding. The scent dog was not a scent specific, so scent was not determined to be Jack's or Lily's. I know. And when I heard that, that is when my shoulders dropped, and I was like, are you kidding me right now? Why wouldn't we have scent dogs tracking Jack and Lily's scent? My question is, where are Jack and Lily's biological parents in all this? Cody, Malehya, where are they? I personally do not blame Cody for not coming forward. He was not involved in the children's lives. He had nothing to do with them at all since, what, Lily was 2 or something? I don't know that he would involve himself other than, I mean, he lives with his mom. You know, he knows about it. You know, he discusses it with her. But just because he's not on social media, I don't blame him for that. I cannot understand why they let Lily scream so long in that video at Jack's birthday party. As soon as someone told her to stop, she did. Danielle just stood there not saying a word. Jack looked stressed. I agree with that, but what isn't cool is, you know, if you don't like somebody's content, and there are many reasons why people don't like certain content, and that's fine, it's okay. But why go into other channels and join like a hate fest? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Where's that one? This one here. So I would be happy to. But I'm not paying for a 1-800 number or whatever the hell Justin Clutch Them Pearls does, or Dolly. That's an American thing. It's not so straightforward here. And I'm certainly not going to give out my personal number. So doing something on Facebook Messenger, or even a link where you can basically, like on here, it's called Backstage. You can turn your camera on just so that I can see you're a real person. You're not naked, and you're not going to like swing your weenie or something on the camera. And then you can turn your camera off and come on and talk for a bit. I'd be into that if everybody else would be into that. That would be good. That'd be good. A pool for 3 children that can't swim. I mean, we don't know what kind of a pool. It could have been a little kiddie pool. I mean, to me, that's not as important as why are you putting a pool in your driveway? I don't know. And why are you worried about it at nighttime in May? His kids are still missing. I know deadbeat dads would be upset at the very least speaking up. Maybe. Is Daniel's family some big family in that area? What's big? And are you referring to the Mackenzie side or the Martel side? Martel side, there are a few, but they're not speaking up on the case publicly. And they are just as perplexed as the rest of us. The Mackenzie side, I can't speak for, but they are also plentiful. There are lots of them. Sorry, Ian just got home, so. Or the cost of pool maintenance if you're having trouble buying groceries, hate to say it, but, and depending on what kind of pool. It seems like they own that area, Daniel's family. Well, between Martel's, the Mackenzies, and apparently somebody in the Geddes family as well. Yeah, Laura, I was muted. Ian was coming in the door, my dog was barking, and so if I and Lily and Jack are never found, does that mean Daniel will never see his older kids? I wonder if he will file a motion at some point. You would think so? Bye, Julia. Thank you for being here. Maybe the pool was for her other grandchildren also. One of those kiddie pools, nothing fancy, who knows? And that's exactly what I think, because the toys that were on that property were for Daniel's other kids. Pretty much everything that Jeannie said was about, well, they're for my other grandchildren, but Jack and Lily was allowed to use it. You know what I mean? And I don't think we're talking about any kind of fancy swimming pool. You're asking about my dog? He's a Great Pyrenees crossed with a lab. He is 141 pounds of fluff and adorable. And I love him. He's my life, but he's loud and he can be a pain in the butt. sometimes. Daniel locked kids out of the house or put out a car en route home as punishment, and they wandered off. So search was wrong, time, place. Malehya said never thought they'd run off on her like that. Interesting. Poor baby Meadow must be so confused. Yes. It's heartbreaking all around. Let me see if I can get Carly. I'm gonna oh, can you hear him drinking? Swear to God, his tongue weighs 10 pounds himself. Right. Right. Those little battery operated Jeeps Earl bought those for the kids. Great. Hey Louise, thanks for being here. What are the chances that Daniel put the kids outside because they were noisy and they took off? And you can't say it's not possible, can you? Let's see if he'll come for a say hi. Where are you? You're covered in mud. Oh, do you see him? It's covered in mud. Covered in mud. Thank you. Okay, go away. Go lay down. Go see Dad. He's outside. Ugh. Okay. That is my Harley. My blood pound Higgins is 150, 106 pounds. Wow, that's a big dog. Hi, Neuromancer. Cool. Hi, thanks for coming. I love dogs too. Cutie. Yes, he's adorable. He's literally, his face has got, I don't know if it's mud or soot or, I'm kind of thinking 2.5 hours is long enough for today. I'm sorry I've been in a mood since, I got that phone call. That's terrible. But my mood will be much better next time. I'm sure of it. And we'll get back to hitting everybody's comments. And we'll decide right here, right now, to not play this game ever again because it is so difficult. And I do hope that Daniel does take a message from this, that it would be much easier for anybody to defend you or your position if you cleaned and cleared up some of the mud that you have created with your own words. That was kind of the point and purpose of this shit show. But I super appreciate everyone being here. Surprised and love that I hit 1,000 subs. Thank you, everyone. And we will, what day is it today? Tuesday? I assume I'm going to be on tomorrow. I have somebody who is going to come on with me at some point, and we're going to talk about the area, the local area. And they were also involved in the initial search. So I'm trying to figure out scheduling for that. And that is hopefully going to be tomorrow. Sometime before the weekend, I am going to Lethbridge to see my grandbabies this weekend, and I'm so excited. And I love dogs. Mine is a Shih Tzu. He's a little peanut. Cute. If you guys have pictures of your dogs and you want to send them to me on Messenger, I'll show them here if you want to show off your little babies. But until next time, everybody, let's keep Jack and Lily's faces and names out there and be kind and open your minds and pressure other people to open their minds. It's all we can do at this point. Have a great night. Bye. It says set outro video, but I can't see me doing one. Anyway, bye.